The CEO's deaf twin sons ran away because no one would listen. Not the teachers. Not the strangers. Then 7 bikers rolled up to a gas station at twilight, and one of them signed, "Hello." What the boys didn't know, one of those bikers was the uncle who disappeared 3 years ago. The fire alarm shrieked through Harrison Elementary at 2:47 p.m., but Liam Carter didn't hear it. He was focused on his math worksheet, pencil moving carefully across the page, when he felt the vibration. The entire desk trembled. Around him, chairs scraped backward as 23 students bolted toward the door, their mouths opening in what he knew were screams and shouts. Liam's head snapped up. His twin brother Noah was already standing, eyes wide with the familiar panic that came when the world shifted without warning. They locked eyes across the classroom, and Noah's hands moved fast. "What's happening?" "I don't know," Liam signed back, his heart hammering. Mrs. Patterson was at the front, her face red, her arm waving frantically toward the door. Her mouth moved in exaggerated shapes, but Liam had learned months ago that reading lips was almost impossible when people were angry or scared. She stomped toward them, and Liam felt the floor shake with each step. She grabbed his shoulder, hard, and pointed at the door. Her fingernails dug into his shirt as she pulled him up from his seat. Noah rushed over, trying to explain with his hands that they didn't understand, but Mrs. Patterson swatted his hands away like they were flies. "Move." Her mouth made the shape. "Now." They ran. Outside, the entire school clustered on the soccer field. It turned out to be a drill, just a drill, but Liam's chest still felt tight. He and Noah stood at the edge of the crowd, invisible as always. Other kids laughed and pushed each other, relieved. Teachers counted heads and checked clipboards. No one looked at them. When they returned to class 20 minutes later, Mrs. Patterson called Liam to her desk. Her face had that expression he'd seen 100 times, the tight smile that wasn't really a smile. She spoke slowly, over-enunciating each word. "You need to listen when I give instructions." Liam's stomach dropped. He wanted to explain. He wanted to tell her that he couldn't hear, that he'd been concentrating on his work, that the school had promised to install visual alert systems but never did. Instead, he just nodded, feeling his face burn with shame. Noah appeared beside him, hands moving urgently. "Tell her we didn't hear the alarm. Tell her it's not our fault." But Liam knew it wouldn't matter. It never did. "Don't use that. Hand stuff in my classroom," Mrs. Patterson said, turning back to her papers. "It's disruptive." The words hit Liam like a slap. Their hand stuff. The only way they could talk to each other, dismissed as a disruption. Noah's hands clenched into fists. Liam grabbed his arm before he could do something they'd regret. Recess was worse. They sat on the far bench, watching kids play basketball. A group of boys from their class ran past, and one of them, Marcus Chen, stopped and waved. Liam's spirits lifted. Marcus had been friendly before, had even tried learning a few signs. "Want to play?" Liam signed, then pointed at the basketball court. Marcus's smile faded. He glanced back at his friends, who were already shouting for him. Maybe later?" His mouth moved, but Liam could tell from his expression that later meant never. Marcus jogged away. Noah threw a rock at the ground. "I hate it here," he signed. "Everyone treats us like we're invisible. Or stupid. Or both." "Mom will make it better," Liam signed back, though even he didn't believe it anymore. Their mother, Amara Carter, CEO of Titan Tech Solutions, was brilliant and powerful and could command a boardroom with a single glance. But she was rarely home before bedtime. And when she was home, she was tired, distracted, promising she'd learn more sign language soon. Soon never came. The final bell rang at 3:30. Students poured out the front doors toward waiting parents and buses. But Liam and Noah had discovered something 3 weeks ago. The back gate near the maintenance shed was always propped open during staff meetings. The janitor, Mr. Hernandez, left it that way to smoke cigarettes in the alley. Today, the twins didn't even discuss it. They simply walked past their usual pickup spot, where their driver Luis usually waited, and headed around the building. The back gate stood open, just as they knew it would be. Liam hesitated for only a second. He thought about Luis, about the panic when they didn't appear. He thought about his mother's face when she found out. But then he remembered Mrs. Patterson's dismissive wave, Marcus's retreating back, the way everyone looked through them instead of at them. "Where do we go?" Noah signed. Liam straightened his shoulders. "Somewhere people will understand us. Somewhere we matter." "Where is that?" Liam didn't have an answer. But staying here, invisible and ignored, felt worse than not knowing. They slipped through the gate. The alley behind Harrison Elementary smelled like dumpsters and old leaves. The twins walked fast, staying close to the brick walls, their backpacks bouncing against their shoulders. At the end of the alley, they emerged onto Riverside Avenue, a quiet street lined with maple trees and old Victorian houses. Liam checked behind them. No one followed. No one had even noticed they were gone. The realization should have felt like freedom. Instead, it felt like proof of what they already knew: they could disappear, and the world wouldn't even blink. "This way," Noah signed, pointing east. "I saw a map at the bus stop last week. There's a gas station about 2 miles from here." "What's at the gas station?" "Food. Maybe someone who can help." It wasn't much of a plan, but it was something. They started walking, their shadows growing longer as the afternoon sun dipped lower. The residential streets gave way to emptier roads. Fewer people. Fewer chances of being spotted and sent back. A city bus roared past, hitting a puddle and sending a spray of dirty water toward them. They jumped back just in time, hearts racing. The bus driver never even glanced in his mirror. Liam grabbed Noah's hand, and they kept walking, 2 small boys in a city that had already forgotten they existed. Behind them, back at Harrison Elementary, a teacher finally noticed the Carter twins weren't at pickup. By then, the boys were already gone, 2 invisible children finally deciding to disappear for real. The sun hung low and orange by the time the twins reached Copper Street, a narrow road lined with chain-link fences and abandoned warehouses. Liam's feet hurt. His sneakers, the ones Mom had bought him 3 months ago, were too small now, pinching his toes with every step. Noah stopped suddenly, his hand shooting out to grip Liam's sleeve. "What?" Liam signed. Noah pointed at a man standing near a rusted pickup truck, smoking. The man's eyes swept over them, lingering for a moment. Liam held his breath. Would he ask questions? Call someone? But the man just flicked his cigarette and climbed into his truck, driving away without a second glance. "See?" Noah signed bitterly. Invisible. They kept moving, ducking into an alley that ran parallel to the main road. Graffiti covered the walls, bright tags and murals of faces Liam didn't recognize. A cat hissed from behind a dumpster, making both boys jump. Liam's stomach growled. They'd skipped lunch. Mrs. Patterson had made them stay inside to practice following directions, which really meant sitting silently at their desks while everyone else ate. He tried not to think about the sandwich probably still in his backpack, now warm and soggy. How much farther? He signed to Noah. Noah pulled out a crumpled receipt from his pocket, something he'd picked up weeks ago with a gas station logo. Maybe another mile? I think. You think? I'm 9 years old, not Google Maps. Noah's hands moved sharply, frustrated. Liam wanted to laugh but couldn't quite manage it. Everything felt too heavy, too uncertain. What were they actually doing? Running away to a gas station because... What? Because a biker might know sign language? Because someone might finally see them? It sounded stupid now, walking through this empty alley with the sky turning purple above them. But going back felt worse. They emerged onto a wider street, this one with actual stores, a laundromat, a pawn shop, a corner market with bars on the windows. A woman stood outside the market, talking on her phone. As the twins passed, she glanced at them, frowned, then looked away. She saw us, Noah signed. She saw 2 kids. She didn't see us, Liam corrected. They'd learned the difference over the past year. People looked at them all the time, looked at their moving hands with confusion or annoyance or pity. But no one actually saw them. No one took the time to understand. Except their Uncle Jonah. But he'd been gone for 3 years now, ever since the big fight with Mom. Liam still remembered Uncle Jonah's hands, rough and calloused, but gentle when they signed. He'd been learning ASL to talk with them, had promised to teach Mom too. Then he'd left. Do you remember Uncle Jonah? Noah signed suddenly, as if reading Liam's mind. Twins did that sometimes. Yeah. He had the motorcycle. The loud one. Think he ever wonders about us? Liam didn't answer. Wondering didn't matter if people didn't come back. A horn blared behind them, long and angry. Both boys spun around to see a delivery truck stopped in the middle of the road, the driver leaning out his window. Get out of the street. His mouth moved in exaggerated shapes. Liam's heart jumped. They were standing in the middle of the road without realizing it, too focused on their conversation. They scrambled to the sidewalk, and the truck roared past, its horn still blaring. We need to be more careful, Noah signed, his hands shaking slightly. They pressed against a storefront window, trying to catch their breath. Inside, Liam could see a TV playing the news. A woman in a blue suit was talking, text scrolling across the bottom of the screen. He couldn't read it from here, but he wondered if anyone was looking for them yet. If Mom even knew. She was probably still in her meeting. The important one with the investors from Singapore, she'd mentioned it 3 times this week, apologizing in advance for missing dinner again. Look, Noah signed, pointing ahead. Through the gathering dusk, Liam could see it, a gas station, its fluorescent lights already flickering on against the darkening sky. The sign read Roadway Fuel, in red letters, and underneath, the smaller text promised, 24-hour service. Relief flooded through Liam's chest. They'd made it. Wherever it was. They approached cautiously, staying in the shadows at the edge of the property. The gas station was busy, cars at 4 of the 6 pumps, people moving in and out of the bright store. Near the air pump, a group of motorcycles sat in a neat row, chrome gleaming. Bikers, Noah signed, eyes wide. Liam counted 7 motorcycles. Big ones, the kind that rumbled so loud you felt them in your chest. He remembered Uncle Jonah's bike, the way it had vibrated through his whole body when he'd sat on it once, how Jonah had signed that the vibrations were like music you could feel. Should we go in? Noah asked. Before Liam could answer, his stomach growled again, loud enough that he felt it even if he couldn't hear it. We need food, Liam signed. And maybe someone inside will help. They crossed the parking lot together, 2 small figures in the harsh fluorescent glow, walking toward a building full of strangers who probably wouldn't understand them either. But they were out of options. And invisible kids, Liam was learning, had nothing left to lose. Amara Carter's phone vibrated during slide 17 of the investor presentation. She ignored it. Tanaka Industries had flown in from Tokyo specifically for this pitch, and the Q4 projections were finally trending upward. Her entire executive team sat along the conference room's glass wall, watching her command the room the way she always did, confident, precise, unshakable. The phone buzzed again. And again. As you can see, Amara continued, gesturing at the revenue graphs, our AI integration has reduced operational costs by 32% while. Her assistant Marcus appeared in the doorway, his face pale. He never interrupted presentations. Never. Amara's stomach dropped before he even spoke. Ms. Carter, I'm sorry, but you need to take this call. It's Harrison Elementary. It's about the boys. The room tilted. Amara heard herself making excuses, heard the carefully modulated voice she used in crisis management. Please excuse me for just one moment, but her hands were already shaking as she reached for her phone. She didn't make it to her office. She answered in the hallway. Ms. Carter? This is Principal Vance at Harrison Elementary. I'm calling because. Are they hurt? Amara's voice cracked. The CEO vanished, replaced by a mother whose heart was trying to break through her ribs. No, they're not hurt. But they're. We can't find them. Liam and Noah didn't show up at pickup, and we've searched the building. They're gone. The words didn't make sense. Gone. Her boys were gone. What do you mean you can't find them? They're 9 years old. How does a school lose 2 children? Ms. Carter, I understand you're upset. When did you notice? Amara was already walking, running, toward the elevator. When did you last see them? The final bell was at 3:30. We noticed they weren't at pickup around 3:45, and we've been searching since then. It's now 4:20. We've called the police. Nearly an hour. Her babies had been missing for nearly an hour, and she'd been talking about quarterly profits. The elevator doors opened. Amara jabbed the parking garage button so hard her finger went numb. I'm on my way. Don't you dare leave that school. I want to know everything, every teacher they talked to, every place they could have gone, everything. She hung up before Principal Vance could respond. Her fingers trembled as she pulled up Luis's number, the driver who picked up the boys every day. Luis, where are my sons? Ms. Carter? I'm still at the school. They never came out. Nobody's seen them since. Amara didn't hear the rest. The parking garage spun around her. She found her car, the black Tesla she'd bought to celebrate Titan Tech's IPO, and threw herself into the driver's seat. Her mind raced through possibilities, each one worse than the last. Kidnapping. Accident. Someone had taken them because of who she was, because of her money, because she'd made enemies climbing to the top. No. Focus. Find them. She pulled out of the garage, tires squealing. The drive to Harrison Elementary normally took 25 minutes. Amara made it in 12, blowing through 2 red lights and ignoring the angry horns. Police cars were already parked outside, their lights painting the brick building in red and blue. Principal Vance met her at the entrance, a thin woman with gray hair and glasses that reflected the emergency lights. Ms. Carter, the police are organizing a search. We've checked every classroom, the gymnasium, the cafeteria. What about cameras? You have security cameras. We've reviewed the footage. The boys. They left through the back gate near the maintenance shed around 3:35. We think they went east on Riverside Avenue, but after that, we lose them. Amara's knees went weak. They'd run away. Her sons had deliberately left, had planned this, and she'd been too absorbed in spreadsheets and investor calls to notice they were that unhappy. Why? The word came out broken. Why would they run? Principal Vance's expression shifted, something that looked almost like guilt. Ms. Carter, perhaps we should discuss the boys' recent difficulties adjusting. What difficulties? Why am I hearing about this now? A police officer approached, young, Asian, name tag reading Officer Chen. Ms. Carter? I'm coordinating the search. I need to ask you some questions. Do the boys have phones? Any friends' houses they might go to? They're 9. They don't have phones, Amara's voice sounded hollow. And friends, she trailed off, realizing she didn't actually know if her sons had friends. When had she last asked about their day? Really asked, not just the distracted, how was school, while checking emails. What about other family? Grandparents? Relatives they're close to? Amara's throat tightened. Their grandparents are dead. My parents passed before they were born, and their father, she stopped. There's my brother, Jonah. But we haven't spoken in 3 years. I'll need his contact information anyway. As Officer Chen took notes, Amara stared at the darkening sky. Somewhere out there, her deaf sons were alone in a city that never bothered to understand them. A city that looked through them like they were glass. And she'd been too busy building her empire to notice they were breaking. Santiago Reyes was checking his tire pressure when he noticed the 2 kids. They stood near the gas station entrance, small and uncertain, like deer deciding whether to bolt. Something about them made Santiago pause, maybe the way they kept glancing at each other instead of at the customers walking past. Or maybe it was the way their hands moved. He'd seen those movements before. Yo, Santi, we're burning daylight, called Marcus from his Harley. You want to make Albuquerque before midnight or what? Santiago held up one finger. Wait. The boys were trying to get someone's attention. The taller one, thin, with dark curly hair, stepped toward a woman in a business suit. His hands moved in careful shapes, asking something. The woman looked down, her face tightening with confusion or annoyance, Santiago couldn't tell which, then walked past without responding. The shorter twin tried next with an older man carrying a coffee. Same result. The man didn't even slow down. They're deaf, Santiago said, more to himself than to Marcus. Who's deaf? Diesel rolled up, 6'4" of tattooed arms and a heart too soft for his road name. The guys called him Diesel because his bike was a monster and also because he cried at dog movies. Those kids, Santiago pointed. Watch their hands. That's ASL. The boys were trying again, this time with a teenage employee restocking windshield washer fluid. The employee looked uncomfortable, shrugged dramatically, and hurried back inside the store. That's messed up, Diesel muttered. Just kids asking for help. Santiago's chest tightened with a familiar anger. His niece Valentina was 6 and deaf, and he'd watched people dismiss her the same way, like her inability to hear made her invisible. He'd started learning ASL 2 years ago, so she'd have at least one person in the family who could really talk to her. I'm going over there, Santiago said, already walking. Santi, man, we're on a schedule. 5 minutes. He crossed the parking lot slowly, not wanting to startle them. Both boys were slumped against the ice machine now, looking defeated. The smaller one was crying silently, his shoulders shaking. Santiago stopped a respectful distance away and lifted his hands. His ASL wasn't perfect, still clumsy and slow, but he signed, hello. Are you okay? Both boys' heads snapped up. Their eyes went wide with shock, then something that looked like desperate hope. The taller one signed back, his hands moving so fast Santiago could barely follow. We're lost. We need food. Everyone ignores us. Can you help? Santiago's heart broke a little. Slow, he signed. I'm still learning. What are your names? Lam, the taller boy fingerspelled. He's Noah. I'm Santiago. Those are my friends. He pointed at the group of bikers watching from their motorcycles. Are you hurt? Both boys shook their heads. Are you running from something bad? Someone hurting you? Noah's hands moved hesitantly, running from being invisible. The words hit Santiago in the chest. He'd heard Valentina say something similar once, after a particularly rough day at school where her teacher had forgotten to include her in group activities. Santi, what's going on? Diesel had walked over, concerned. They're lost. Need food. Nobody's helping them because they can't hear. Jesus. Diesel crouched down, making himself smaller, less intimidating. He waved at the boys. Liam and Noah waved back tentatively. That's when Jonah arrived. Jonah Carter had been inside the gas station buying Red Bull and beef jerky for the road. He pushed through the glass doors, tearing open the jerky package, and froze mid-step. The bag fell from his hands. No, he whispered. No, that's not. Santiago turned. You know these kids? Jonah couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. He was looking at two boys he hadn't seen in 3 years, taller now, older, but unmistakably his nephews. Liam had Amara's stubborn chin. Noah had their father's eyes. They were staring at him too, recognition dawning slowly. Noah's hands moved first. Uncle Jonah? The name, spelled out in the careful letters Jonah himself had taught them, shattered something in his chest. It's me, Jonah signed back, his hands rusty but remembering. What are you doing here? Where's your mom? We ran away, Liam signed. School is terrible. Nobody understands us. Mom is always working. Wait, these are your nephews? Santiago looked between them. Your family lives here? Jonah nodded, unable to find words. The last time he'd seen these boys, they'd been 6 years old. He'd been teaching them signs, buying them books, promising to always be there. Then the fight with Amara, bitter and final, about their father's estate and the company and things that seemed stupid now, and he'd left. He'd told himself it was better for everyone. That Amara had made her choice, and he'd made his. He'd been wrong. I'm sorry, Jonah signed, tears streaming down his face. I'm so sorry I left you. Noah crashed into him first, then Liam, both boys wrapping their arms around their uncle like he might disappear again. Jonah held them tight, feeling 3 years of guilt and regret crushing his lungs. Behind them, the rest of the motorcycle crew had gathered, 7 rough-looking bikers watching their hardest member fall apart over 2 small boys. So, Diesel said quietly. What do we do now? Jonah looked up, his nephews still clinging to him. We call their mother. And then, he swallowed hard. Then I fix what I broke. Her number's probably the same, Jonah said, pulling out his phone with shaking hands. Unless she changed it to avoid me. Santiago watched the twins, who had finally released their uncle and were now sitting on the curb, sharing a bag of chips Diesel had bought them. They signed to each other rapidly, too fast for Santiago to catch more than a few words. Scared. Safe now. Uncle Jonah. 3 years is a long time not to talk to family, Santiago said carefully. Jonah's jaw tightened. You don't know what happened. You're right. I don't. But I know those kids just ran away from home, and I know they ended up here, with you, for a reason. Santiago crossed his arms. Universe doesn't do coincidences like that. The universe has a sick sense of humor. Then Jonah stared at his phone screen, his sister's contact still saved as Mars, the nickname he'd given her as kids because she was always shooting for something beyond Earth. His thumb hovered over the call button. Wait, Marcus called out from his bike. Before you call Mama Bear, maybe figure out why they ran? Kids don't just bolt for no reason. Jonah nodded and walked over to the twins. He sat down heavily on the curb between them, his leather jacket creaking. Tell me what happened, he signed. Why did you run away? Liam and Noah exchanged glances, having one of those silent twin conversations. Finally, Liam's hands began to move. Everyone at school treats us like we're broken. The teacher got mad because we didn't hear the fire alarm. She said our hand stuff is disruptive. Kids ignore us. We tried to make friends, but they always walk away. Noah jumped in. Mom promises she'll learn more signs, but she's always working. Always busy. We eat dinner alone. We do homework alone. It's like living with a ghost. And you? Liam's signs were sharp, accusatory. You left too. You promised you'd teach Mom to sign. You promised you'd always be our friend. Then you disappeared. Each sign felt like a punch to Jonah's gut. I know, he said out loud, forgetting they couldn't hear him. He switched back to signing. I made a terrible mistake. I was angry at your mom about grown-up stuff, and I let that anger make me leave you. That was wrong. What grown-up stuff? Noah asked. Jonah hesitated. How did you explain to 9-year-olds that their grandmothers will had left controlling interest in the family company to Amara, not split evenly? That he'd felt betrayed, overlooked, like the son who'd worked alongside their father for years meant nothing compared to Amara's fancy MBA? That pride and hurt had made him say unforgivable things? Your mom and I disagreed about business things after your grandpa died, Jonah signed finally. I said mean things. She said mean things. We were both stubborn. Both wrong. You should call her, Liam signed. She's probably scared. The simplicity of it, the easy forgiveness in those small hands, made Jonah's throat close up. He stood and dialed before he could overthink it. The phone rang once. Twice. Hello? Amara's voice was raw, desperate. Jonah? Why are you? Do you know where my boys are? Did someone contact you? Please, if you know anything. Mars, slow down. They're with me. They're safe. Silence. Then, what? Liam and Noah. They're here at a gas station on Route 40. They're fine. A little tired and scared, but fine. He heard something that might have been a sob or a laugh or both. How? How are they with you? You're in Montana. You left. I'm passing through on a road trip. Pure coincidence. Jonah looked at Santiago, who raised an eyebrow as if to say told you. The universe put me exactly where I needed to be, I guess. Don't, Amara's voice hardened. Don't pretend you care now. You abandoned them. You abandoned all of us. You're right. I did. And I've regretted it every single day for 3 years. Regret doesn't, she stopped. Send me the address. I'm coming to get them. Mars, wait. Before you come, you need to know something. They ran away because they're hurting. Really hurting. You think I don't know my own children are hurting? Her voice cracked. You think I don't see it? I'm doing everything I can. Are you? Jonah kept his voice gentle. When's the last time you sat down and really talked to them? In sign language, not just talking at them while they read your lips? I'm learning. It takes time. It's been 3 years since I left. You've had time. The accusation hung between them like a knife. How dare you, Amara whispered. You don't get to leave and then judge me. You don't get to. I'm not judging. I'm telling you what they told me. They feel invisible, Mars. In their own home. Another silence, longer this time. When Amara spoke again, her voice was small. What's the address? Jonah rattled off the location. We'll wait here. And Mars? We need to talk. Really talk. Not about the company or Dad's will or who was right. About those 2 boys who need both of us. I'm 20 minutes away. She hung up. Jonah pocketed his phone and looked at his crew, 6 bikers watching him with various expressions of sympathy and curiosity. She's coming, he said. This is going to be messy, Diesel predicted. Jonah looked at his nephews, who were watching him with hope in their eyes. Yeah, he agreed. But some things are worth the mess. Amara never showed up in 20 minutes. 40 minutes passed. Then an hour. Jonah called 3 times and got voicemail. He texted. Nothing. Something's wrong, he said, pacing in front of the gas station. The twins sat on a bench, watching him with growing anxiety. Santiago checked his phone. There's a multi-car pileup on the interstate. Route 40 eastbound is completely shut down. Says it just happened about 30 minutes ago. Jesus, Jonah's stomach twisted. She could be stuck in that. Or she could have taken surface streets and just got delayed, Marcus offered. City traffic's brutal this time of night. But Jonah knew his sister. Amara drove like she did everything else, fast, efficient, direct. If the highway was blocked, she'd find another way. Unless. He pushed the thought away and walked over to the twins. Your mom is coming, but she's stuck in traffic. Are you okay to wait a little longer? Noah's hands moved. What if she changed her mind? What if she doesn't want us back? The fear in those signs broke Jonah's heart. She wants you back. She's probably breaking every traffic law to get here. Then why isn't she answering? Liam asked. Jonah didn't have an answer to that. Diesel lumbered over, his massive frame blocking the wind. It's getting cold. Kids need jackets. He shrugged off his leather vest and draped it over Noah's shoulders. It swallowed the boy whole, but Noah smiled, the first real smile Jonah had seen from him. We can't just sit here all night, Santiago said quietly to Jonah. Those kids are exhausted. And if something did happen to their mom? Don't say it. I'm just saying we need a plan B. Where's the nearest police station? Or we could take them to a hospital, have them checked out. No, Jonah's response was immediate. They've been ignored and dismissed all day. I'm not handing them off to more strangers. He looked at his crew, 6 men who'd become his family over the past 3 years of wandering. What if we take them toward the city? Meet Amara halfway? On the bikes? Marcus raised an eyebrow. That's not exactly legal, man. Neither is leaving 2 kids stranded at a gas station at night. Santiago considered this. My bike has a sidecar. It's rated for 2 passengers if they're small. And we go slow, stick to back roads. I can lead, offered Wrench, the crew's navigator. I know every road in this county. We can avoid the highway mess completely. Jonah looked at the twins again. They were huddled together now, Noah still drowning in Diesel's vest, Liam's head resting on his brother's shoulder. They looked so small, so vulnerable. New plan, Jonah signed, walking back to them. We're going to ride toward the city to meet your mom. You'll ride in the sidecar. Have you ever been in a sidecar? Both boys shook their heads, but their eyes lit up with interest. It's safe, Santiago signed, joining them. I've had my daughter in it. Very secure. And you'll be able to feel the engine, like music in your whole body. Liam's hands moved. Uncle Jonah's motorcycle was like that. I remember. 15 minutes later, they were ready. The twins were strapped into Santiago's sidecar, wearing spare helmets that were too big but better than nothing. Diesel had insisted on wrapping them in emergency blankets from his first aid kit. Stick together, Jonah told his crew. Speed limit or under. We're not taking any risks with them. As the engines rumbled to life, Jonah watched the twins' faces transform. They couldn't hear the thunder of 7 motorcycles, but they felt it, the vibration traveling through the sidecar, through their bones, making them part of the machine. Noah's mouth opened in a silent laugh of pure joy. They pulled out of the gas station in formation, headlights cutting through the darkness. The ride was slow, careful. They took rural Route 17 south, avoiding the clogged highway. Streetlights gave way to stars. The twins pointed at things as they passed, a deer in a field, an old barn with a glowing window, the city lights in the distance. At a red light, Jonah pulled up beside the sidecar. "How are you doing?" he signed. "This is amazing," Liam signed back, his whole face glowing. "Better than school?" Jonah asked. "Better than anything." But then Noah's hands moved, slower, sadder. "Do you think Mom is okay?" Before Jonah could answer, his phone buzzed. Finally. He pulled over, the whole crew stopping behind him. The text was from Amara. "Stuck in police roadblock. Multi-car accident investigation. They won't let anyone through. Where are you?" "Still at gas station?" Jonah typed back, "We're coming to you. On the bikes. Boys are safe and secure. What's your location?" The response came immediately, Highway 40-mile marker 67. "Jonah, please tell me they're really okay." "They're okay. Scared, tired, but okay. We'll be there in 20 minutes. He shared the location with Wrench, who nodded and plugged it into his GPS. Change of plans, Jonah signed to the twins. "Your mom is stuck on the highway. We're going to her." "Is she mad?" Noah asked. "She's scared. There's a difference." They rode on, 7 motorcycles carrying 2 lost boys toward a reunion 3 years in the making. Amara saw the headlights first, 7 of them, moving in perfect formation like a constellation dropped from the sky. She stood beside her Tesla, trapped in a sea of stopped cars. Red and blue police lights flickered ahead where the accident had turned the highway into a parking lot. Other drivers sat in their vehicles, resigned to the wait. But Amara couldn't sit. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't do anything but stare at her phone and imagine every terrible thing that could have happened to her boys. Then the motorcycles appeared. They came from the shoulder, moving slowly past the gridlocked traffic. Police officers shouted at them, but the lead rider, a massive man covered in tattoos, pointed at something and kept going. The whole procession followed. Amara's heart stopped when she saw the sidecar. 2 small figures huddled inside, wrapped in blankets, wearing oversized helmets. Even from a distance, even in the dark, she knew. She'd know her sons anywhere. Liam. Noah. She ran toward them, not caring about the cars, the police, anything. The motorcycles pulled over. Before they'd even fully stopped, Amara was there, yanking open the sidecar, pulling her sons out and into her arms. They smelled like gasoline and French fries and the wind. They felt solid and real and alive. She couldn't stop crying. Couldn't let go. Noah's small hand tapped her shoulder. When she pulled back to look at him, his hands moved. "Mom, you're squishing us." Amara laughed through her tears. "I don't care. I thought I lost you." "We were never lost," Liam signed. "We just went somewhere we could be found." The words hit her like a physical blow. "Ms. Carter?" She turned to find a police officer approaching, but she held up one hand. "Give me a minute. Please." Then she saw him. Jonah stood beside one of the motorcycles, still wearing his riding gloves, his hair windblown. 3 years had added lines around his eyes and gray to his temples. He looked older, weathered, uncertain. Their eyes met, and everything came rushing back: the funeral, the will reading, the screaming match in the lawyer's office. "You always have to win, don't you, Mars? Even with Dad dead, you have to be the golden child. Maybe if you'd actually helped build the company instead of playing mechanic in the garage, Dad would have trusted you with it." Words designed to wound. Words they could never take back. Amara felt the anger rise automatically, a reflex worn deep by repetition. But then she looked at her sons, still clinging to her, and at the 6 rough-looking bikers who'd brought them safely through the night. Jonah had done that. Jonah had saved them when she couldn't. She handed the boys to a female officer who'd approached with blankets and a gentle smile. "Stay here for 1 minute," she signed to them. I need to talk to Uncle Jonah. She walked over to her brother slowly, each step feeling like crossing a minefield. Mars, he started. They ran away because of me. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook. Because I've been so focused on proving Dad made the right choice, on being successful enough that no one could question his decision, that I forgot to actually be their mother. Jonah shook his head. It's not all on you. I should have been there. I let my pride. We both did. Amara swallowed hard. The company, the money, Dad's approval, we let all of it matter more than those two boys. More than family. I'm sorry, Jonah's voice cracked. I'm so sorry for what I said at the funeral. You deserve that company. Dad knew it. I was just angry because I felt invisible, and I took it out on you. Invisible, Amara repeated softly. She looked at the twins, who were watching them nervously. Like our sons feel. Every single day. The truth of it settled between them, how pain gets passed down, how their fight had created a void that swallowed two little boys who needed them both. I don't know how to fix this, Amara admitted. Any of it. Maybe we start by both showing up. Jonah took a step closer. I know I don't have the right to ask, but let me come back. Not for the company or the money. Just to be their uncle. To help you learn ASL. To be family again. Just like that? 3 years of silence and we just... What? Pretend it didn't happen? No. We acknowledge it happened and we do better. Jonah's eyes were steady. Those boys in that sidecar? They forgave me in 5 minutes for abandoning them. They've got bigger hearts than both of us combined. If they can forgive, maybe we can too. Amara looked at her sons again. They were signing to each other rapidly, probably about the motorcycle ride, the adventure, the uncle who'd appeared like magic exactly when they needed him. For the first time in years, they looked happy. I've been terrified, Amara whispered. Terrified that I'd fail them the way I thought Dad failed you. That giving them anything less than perfection meant I was proving everyone wrong who said I could do it all. You can't do it all. Nobody can. Jonah's voice was gentle. But we can do it together. Amara studied her brother, really looked at him for the first time since their father's funeral. Behind the anger and hurt, he was still the boy who'd taught her to ride a bike, who'd defended her against bullies, who'd been her best friend before they'd let grief and greed tear them apart. Okay, she said finally. Come home. But Jonah, if you leave them again. I won't. I swear on Dad's grave, I won't. Dawn broke pink and gold over the highway diner where they'd all finally landed. The police had cleared the accident scene around 2 a.m., but none of them had wanted to go home yet. The twins needed food, real food, not gas station chips. And somehow, none of them were ready for the night to end. Like the spell might break if they separated too soon. Liam and Noah sat in a corner booth, working their way through a stack of pancakes taller than their heads. Diesel had ordered it as a dare, and now the twins were determined to finish every bite. Syrup covered their faces, their hands, probably the table too. They were laughing. Amara watched them from the counter where she sat with Jonah, nursing her third coffee. She hadn't slept. Couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw them walking away from school, small and alone and convinced no one cared. You did good with them tonight, she said quietly to her brother. Jonah shook his head. Santiago did the good work. I just happened to be there. Santiago sat a few stools down, teaching Wrench some basic signs. The whole crew had stayed, 7 bikers who had probably planned to be in Albuquerque by now, derailed by 2 deaf kids and a family crisis. Still, Amara insisted. You stayed. That matters. Staying is the easy part. Jonah turned his coffee cup in circles. It's the showing up every day after that's hard. Then we'll be hard together. Amara surprised herself with the words, but they felt right. I'm starting ASL classes tomorrow. Real ones, not just YouTube videos I watch at midnight. I can help with that. I'm rusty, but I'd like that. She paused. And I'm cutting back at work. Not quitting, but Stephen can handle more of the day-to-day operations. He's been wanting more responsibility anyway. Jonah raised an eyebrow. Stephen Chen? Your CFO? He's good. Better than me at the detail work, honestly. I've been so busy proving I could run everything that I never stopped to wonder if I should. Amara's voice dropped. I almost lost them, Jonah. I almost lost my boys because I was too busy being CEO of the year. But you didn't lose them. They're right there, wearing more syrup than clothes. Despite everything, Amara smiled. They are, aren't they? Movement caught her eye. Noah had slid out of the booth and was walking over, signing as he approached, Mom, can Uncle Jonah come home with us? Amara's heart squeezed. Do you want him to? Yes. We missed him. And you need help learning signs. You're really bad at it. The honesty made her laugh out loud. I know I am. Yes, he can come home. Noah's face lit up like sunrise. He turned and signed the news to Liam, who pumped both fists in the air. Guess that's settled, Jonah said softly. Santiago walked over, checking his watch. We should probably hit the road soon. Lost a whole night, and we've got commitments in California. Before you go, Amara stood, suddenly awkward. How did you thank someone for saving your children? For seeing them when everyone else looked away? I don't know how to. Don't. Santiago held up a hand. I have a niece. 6 years old, deaf. I know what it's like when people treat them like they're invisible. If I can help someone else's kid, I'm going to. Still. Thank you. All of you. She looked at the crew, Diesel, Marcus, Wrench, and the others whose names she'd learned over pancakes and coffee. You gave my sons something I couldn't. You saw them. They're good kids, Diesel rumbled. Just needed someone to pay attention. The twins came over then, and what followed was a flurry of goodbyes. Diesel let them wear his patches for photos. Marcus taught them a secret biker handshake. Wrench gave them each a small compass, so you never get lost again. Santiago knelt down to their level. You two are brave, he signed carefully. Braver than most adults I know. But next time you feel invisible, don't run. Tell someone. Make noise. Demand to be seen. How? Liam asked. However you can. Signs, writing, jumping up and down, whatever works. You deserve to be heard, even if you can't hear. The twins hugged him tight. As the bikers mounted their motorcycles, the morning sun caught the chrome and made everything glow. 7 engines rumbled to life, a sound the twins couldn't hear but felt deep in their chests. They stood outside the diner waving as the motorcycles pulled away, getting smaller and smaller until they were just points of light on the horizon. Will we see them again? Noah signed. I don't know, Jonah signed back. But they'll always be part of your story. The people who stopped when everyone else kept walking. Amara pulled both boys close, one on each side. The morning air was cold, but they were warm together. Behind them, through the diner window, she could see Jonah settling their bill, arguing with the waitress who apparently wanted to comp it. Her brother was home. Her sons were safe. They had so much work ahead of them, therapy, ASL classes, difficult conversations, rebuilding trust. The road would be long. But they'd be traveling it together. Noah tugged her sleeve and signed, Mom, can we get a dog? Amara blinked. A dog? Diesel said dogs can learn signs. And they always pay attention. She looked at Liam, who was nodding enthusiastically, then at the twins' hopeful faces. We'll talk about it, she signed, which in parent language meant, probably yes. Both boys cheered silently, jumping and dancing in the parking lot. For the first time in 3 years, Amara felt something unlock in her chest. Not quite peace, not yet, but possibility. The chance to be better. To do better. To finally see the sons who'd been trying so hard to be seen. Jonah emerged from the diner and joined them, slinging his arms around everyone. They stood there as the sun climbed higher, a family broken and mending, learning that sometimes getting lost is the only way to find your way home.